Hey, hey, welcome everyone. Another episode of our Facebook Live where we bring in many different topics from and around all the real estate world. We've been absent for a while, so I am back here. This is Dr. Noah Liu, and joined here is my buddy and partner, Tom Bibi Varghese, my partner in multiple real estate as well as a good friend. So, with that being said, today we're going to keep it something a mixture of questions and what's going to happen is we're going to be asking Q&A and asking all those questions from our members that they had. So without further ado, I'm going to pass the mic off to Tom. And Tom, kick it away, man.
Hey, hello everybody. Good afternoon. If you're watching anywhere, if it's afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is. Hey, I'm so excited for another episode of our Facebook Live. My name is Tom Bibi Verghese. As Dr. Noah Lowe said, we are good partners. I mean, we are good friends and partners in several real estate deals. We met at a real estate event, and we've been managing this Facebook group for about 3 years, and we are so excited this has grown over to 12,000 members. So we started in real estate about 5 years ago. I didn't know anything about real estate or investing in real estate when I started. I had nobody to turn to, there was nobody to help me. But the first thing I did was just buy a property and learned from all the mistakes that I did. And I
Mhm.
wish there was somebody that I could ask all the questions and get some answers, but there was nothing that was there. And so today we are going to answer some of the questions that you had. Basically, many of you are wondering what type of investment you should do. Many questions related to real estate, depending on different stages you are in your investment journey, right? So we're going to take a look at that today. And if you have any other questions that we are not covered, you can send it to us or just post it in the comments, and we'll tackle that next time. So, Dr. Noah Lou, let's get it going.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So it's going to be like a impromptu kind of thing. So it's not like, we have anything scripted. So start. What is the first question there, Tom? What do you got
Yeah.
there?
The first question that we received was, I want to start in real estate, but I don't know what type of property I should invest in. Should I go residential, commercial? And should I buy a strip mall? So many options. So, what should I do?
I think the question should be answered with it's, do you want to go solo or do you want to go as a partner? And that
Mm.
would depend on the amount of money that you would need to put down in order to buy a property. Um, there is no right and wrong answer. What do you think, Tom? I mean, there is no like a white and black kind of, clear cut demarcation here.
Yeah, exactly. So, but if they were saying, should I go residential or commercial? I'm thinking they are talking, should I do single family by single family, or should I buy
Mm.
multifamily or strip mall or something like that. So either single family or multifamily. I think that's what they're probably asking.
So
And
in
from
that
our
case,
experience,
yeah,
go ahead.
in that case, let's talk about commercial.
Yep. Okay, so you're saying they should do commercial rather than residential.
100%.
Okay. Yeah, I agree
100%.
with that totally. Yeah, that's from our experience too. We always do commercial deals. And why would that be? Just a couple of reasons.
Well, commercial, number one, commercial is a size and a scalability aspect. We have different multiple tenants, different doors, right? And more than one door. Residential, we're looking at one door, right? Anytime we have more than 5 units in a complex, it's a commercial. We could do residential by doing a fourplex or a threeplex, but then, it's makes a lot more sense if you are going to be an owner occupied. But in order for it if it being like an investment deal, it's got to be commercial, just because of the size,
Exactly, especially if they're looking to grow and create an investment portfolio
right?
of properties. You should definitely consider commercial rather than residential. Now, when you talk about residential, you're talking about single family homes, and you're talking about a single tenant. And if that tenant leaves, for example, you're at 100% vacancy, right? More than that, it is going to be a hassle to manage 10 homes in multiple places as opposed to having a 10 unit building in one location. You will have only one insurance, one property tax bill. All it's going to be very manageable and scalable compared to buying homes in multiple. locations in multiple places.
100%. The only exception I would say is because our listeners, many of them are dentists, would be our dental practice. That would be
Oh
the one
yeah,
exception, right? For having one door and on a single property. And I think that's probably going to be like the only exception for me personally, per se. But again, everyone's different. And if you're starting off, like we just discussed, stay commercial.
yep. Good. That's a great answer. Let's go to the next question. Um, so the question is, where do I get the money? It sounds like it's a lot of money to buy these multiple doors. So
Hmm.
what do I do if I don't have? Do I need to come up with the money? Is basically the next question.
Well, there's two aspects in a deal when we finance. There's the equity aspect, which is a down payment, and there's the debt aspect, which is the financing from a bank or it could be an investor. So, with that being said, we need to figure out which side of the equation one needs to be on. And number two is, are you going to be putting up the entire cash if you are able to buy the entire property out of pocket? So that is a third aspect we can look into. Usually, typically on a normal scale, a lot of times you would put like a 20 to 25% or 30% down and finance the rest of it from a bank. That's a typical scenario. But then with financing, a lot of times we can be creative. We can do seller's finance, we can do staggered buyouts. I mean, there's a whole bunch of ways anyone can look into it. But a typical scenario would be the 80-20 rule, which is 80% bank and a 20% down. You want to add
That's
anything to that, Tom?
Yeah, 80%. So now the thing is, guys, you don't need to come up with all the money. Is bottom line, right?
Yeah.
So when you look at a single family home, maybe you saved up a lot of money and you're looking at, man, that's a great investment. I'm going to go buy it with cash. And and that way I won't have any debt. But what you need
Right.
to understand is debt is going to be your friend in this game. If you really want to scale, you want to use debt and in a safe manner. I mean, you don't need to worry about losing the property to the bank if you know how to leverage it and leverage it properly. All you need to do is come up with 20%, like Noel was saying, and the rest 80%, or let's say 25%, you need to come up with the rest 75%. The bank will finance it. And now, let's say you're buying a 6 unit building or a 10 unit building. That 25% could be a couple $100,000 or a few $100,000. Now, you're wondering,
Hmm.
where am I going to come up with that money? That's when you need to think about not going solo. Maybe you have another dentist friend who can help you with with part of that money. So you can partner up at that time and do some deals like that and divvy up the responsibilities too.
100%. Just like you said, you could get a dental buddy or maybe a friend or family or your parents or grandparents or anybody else, right? However, there's two things going to be at play. Either you borrow the money at an interest rate and you pay them back, or if you don't want to make payments, you can make them your equity partners. So this
Yeah,
is going to be one of those two ways that you could do. Otherwise, it gets tough. It really
right.
gets tough.
Okay, the next question is, how do I analyze a property's potential return on investment?
That's a good
I think
one.
they're asking about NOI and stuff.
A quick way and an easy way is the napkin underwriting. What do you say, Tom?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's what they're talking about.
Right. So all we look at is what's the top line revenue, what are the expense,
So when
what
you
are
say
the daily
revenue,
cash,
it's basically the sum total of the rents coming in.
all the rents, all the rents, all the rents. So a lot of our listeners will be practice owners, right? So you kind of know what the P&L statement looks like. It's all about whatever the rent's coming in, the gross income minus any kind of plus any kind of additional income, then minus all the expenses, and then minus your principal and interest payments. Once when that all that is done, whatever the free cash flow, that kind of tells you how the property is doing.
Yep. So basically, it's a math of how much money is coming in and how much money is going out, and that shows you the cash flow, and that should give you a picture of if the property is worth investing in.
Just to keep it
Okay.
simple, right? Just to
Yeah.
keep it simple. I mean,
No,
there's a lot more
that's
that goes into play.
absolutely the way to do it. You don't need to make it any
Yeah.
complicated. Yeah, that was the simplest way. How much money is coming? You just ask them. Everybody's going. If it's That's another good thing about commercial is that most sellers will have a P&L statement, like an income and expense statement. But if you go to a single family home, if
Yes.
somebody's selling, they ain't going to have nothing. So yeah, good. Okay, so I think we have got a couple more questions.
And one thing I want to add before we go jump to the next question is the NOI, which is a net operating income. The best part when I said about commercial, go commercial, is because the valuation of that property or that real estate is based on that income. Unlike a residential where it's based on the comps in the area,
Yep. Hmm. Yeah, you
right?
want to. So basically, what he's saying is, when you go look at a single family home, it's not based on the income that's bringing in. It's how much the neighbor's house is selling for, and the neighborhood, how much it's going for. That's the value of the property. But in the that means you cannot increase the value of that single
Correct.
family home beyond a certain point. But in a commercial building, it's simply a math based on the income that it's the profit that it's generating. So if you are creative to increase the profit by rehabbing those units, putting in new appliances, and bumping up the rent by a couple $100, now all of a sudden the profit jumped, and the property value jumped by what is called as forced appreciation, which is now possible in single family homes.
Correct.
The other question, I think this is the last one: should I manage properties myself or hire a property manager?
Man, that's a tough one because size matters in this one. The economy
Mm.
of scale, when I keep saying about the size, it's because the greater the rents or the greater the doors, the more the rent, the easier is it to afford somebody who's going to manage it for you. Otherwise, then what ends up happening is we have to leave our day jobs and manage it ourselves.
So yeah, so single family, that's the challenge, right? In a single family, there's not enough money coming in to hire a property manager. If you hire a property manager, he's going to take half of your profits, and you're left with half or even nothing after paying the
Correct.
bank and everybody. You may not have anything left. And a lot of people don't want to manage single family home because the guy who's coming to manage the property, he wants to make some money too. He's not going to manage the property if he's going to make only $200 a month. He's not going to give his full attention to that. But if you have a 20 unit building or a 15 unit building, there is enough money coming in to pay that guy maybe 5% of the income, the rent's coming in, and he's going to take care of all the aspects, and he's happy and you are
Hmm.
happy at the end of the day. So yeah, like Noel was saying, size matters, and this is the reason why, one of the reasons why we always advise to look into commercial real estate rather than single family homes.
100%. And lastly,
Yeah.
I'll just say is if you have buddies or friends that own other real estate properties in the area, maybe get a manager who can actually take care of all the different assets, and this way then everything is under like not necessarily under one portfolio, but management wise it's just as one. Everybody it's
Mhm.
being treated as one. That's all.
Perfect. Good. Yeah, that's those are all the questions that we had for today. And if you guys have more questions, just comment below or send us a message,
Hmm.
DM, and we can cover that in the next segment. What do you think?
Alrighty. Absolutely. In the meantime, if we don't see you guys, what, next week, then the week after for sure. But definitely we'll try to make it next week again. And as you know, guys, I mean, I get pretty busy with my stuff. So day-to-day job. So, and Tom is the same thing. So it's trying to hard, it's kind of hard. It's been hard for the last week or so. But I apologize if you guys, we did not do our Facebook Live last week, but we'll try to keep it up.
All right, everybody. Have a great weekend. We'll see you soon.
Take care.